Welcome, everybody. Can I get a round of applause for everybody that showed up tonight? And the end. Goodbye. No. All right, so I'm Fenix. I am the person, for those of you graduating, that received nagging emails and incessant text and notifications and all those kind of things. That was me. So I apologize, but also like sorry, not sorry, because I've really appreciated getting to know, and even from afar, even like in a weird like one direction way, getting to know all of you, because I got to see everybody's pictures and read so many of the letters, the beautiful letters, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But before we dive in, I want to thank some really key players, especially, and then we'll get into some of this evening's speakers and kind of the features of today. So before we do anything, I'm Fenix. I use she, they pronouns. I am only like 8 months into the position. I am the Associate Director of Gender and Sexuality Resources. And I'm excited to host Lavender for the first time on its actually 10-year anniversary, as you might have noticed in the program. We also, so in terms of how this evening came to be, if the Lavender committee can raise their hands or stand up and just kind of signal, I want everybody to kind of look around. Y'all are going to be really tired of applause, aren't you? I have a lot of people to thank, so pause for a moment. This entire committee, I've never actually experienced such like willingness and jumping, like, I don't know, they would come to me with a question and I would go, well, and they would be like, I've got it. And they would jump in, and literally everything would not be possible without everybody in this committee, and it's been phenomenal of an experience. I also want to thank the GSR team. If those of you in the GSR team can wave their hands or stand up, all right? All right, and so we've got Kyla and Jasmine and Jeremy is somewhere around here as well. There we go. We also have our graduate assistants who are not able to join us tonight, unfortunately. Prek and Emma are brand new, and then Stella Saya, who's our lovely graduate and is going to be speaking later by video, is one of our graduate assistants. And I will say my sanity, in addition to this folder that's labeled Fenix's Sanity, and the only reason I'm holding on to it, is also possible because of Lorraine Bonamy Love, wherever she is sitting. Oh my goodness. I thought you were like putting out another fire. So everything that I've said, she's like already been on it. So I could not be more thankful. I really could actually spend the rest of my time up here thanking people. I will try not to, but I just want to tell you from the bottom of my heart that I really appreciate all of those that were deeply ingrained in the planning of this. I also want to give a shout out to ODI and RSL and Life Design Lab. Round of applause for them as well, for our partners. All right, and just for student affairs and all of our other kind of campus partners that have been such a phenomenal help in making our programming possible. I feel like Lavender Celebration, while it's one program, is really kind of a culminating event into kind of what we stand for and what we hope to bring to Johns Hopkins in general. So, all right. Enough of the thank yous. I want to shed a little more light as to what you walked into today. Okay, so as you walked in, you probably saw that there are letters all around. You are literally surrounded by stories. Okay, so all of the graduating seniors were given an opportunity to write letters to their younger selves. So even more specifically, there were letters to the versions of themselves that they started at Hopkins. So their day one of their Hopkins journey. I gave everybody the opportunity to submit it. If they wanted to share it, they could submit it. Or if not, I encourage them to just do the exercise and not even share it. Or maybe make a public version and a private version. That being said, there were a lot of responses. So I feel a little sneaky. I was actually, yes, I loved reading the letters, but I think the part that I enjoyed the most was seeing the reactions. I added a question at the end of the submission form that was like, how did that make you feel? And a lot of folks were like, that helped me realize how much I'd been through. That helped me realize how powerful of an opportunity of reflecting on that is. And so throughout all of it, I just wanted to kind of highlight some of the themes and some of the things that came out of these letters. I'm also getting over being sick, so I apologize. Many of them started with words related to anxiety, imposter syndrome, and overwhelm. Unsurprisingly, many of them then go on to describe intricately unique tales distinct from one another that describe their transformation into the present-day selves. Interestingly enough, so many of the letters came back together sharing the same recurring themes over and over again. These were themes of resilience, themes of healthy boundaries, and most of all, themes of authenticity. What I admired the most, however, was that almost all of them came back to one single message: enjoy the journey. So as you listen to the speakers this evening and receive your chords, I want you to remember that all of this is only a part of your journey, and that your journey will ebb and flow and take a whole lot of sharp turns, and ultimately it's going to get you back to exactly where you need to be. So keep that in mind, enjoy the entire evening. You'll hear very minimally from me at the very, very tail end, but just soak it all up, and congratulations, class of 2024. Let me get back up. And somebody who absolutely cannot be, I'm also, hold for a second. We're gonna build up the suspense. Sorry, everybody. I also realized I completely forgot to direct several of you. So bathrooms are down that hallway, if you have not seen them so far. Also, as much as we have so many cool, engaging things, I urge you during the ceremony to just kind of like save, the step and repeat for following the ceremony, that kind of stuff, just to reduce some of the distraction. There's also cameras up in the back and for the live stream opportunity, so we just want to make sure that we're not kind of interfering with some of that. We also have, thank you for the render, the gold pins, or the gold ribbons. If you have not gotten one already, feel free to grab one by the front desk. It symbolizes that you are okay with photographs, and we want to be mindful that not everybody has that same comfort level. So if you would like to be in pictures and you're okay with being in pictures, go ahead and grab one and just throw it on. So, so our fabulous photographer, Will Kirk, will know that you would like to be in the limelight. Okay? All right. And without further ado, Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson is a fabulous friend, and actually, there is a lot more information that I did not memorize in the program, I'm not gonna lie, but he is going to share a little bit more. Can I actually tell them a little bit about you being the first? No, come here. This is one of my dear friends. We used to teach together. I know, look, no. So Dr. Anderson actually wrote the very first If I Knew Then letter 10 years ago.
Oh my.
You realize that? That was 10 years ago.
What?
Do you know what's even funnier is the whole project was created for a workshop that I was presenting at Homewood.
Wow.
So the journey came back full circle, and it couldn't make me happier that you're all part of that story too. So without further ado, this is Raymont Anderson. You probably don't need the stool.
I probably don't need the stool. But I feel like I was just, okay. So, how's it going? You didn't warn them. Let's try this again, take 2. How's it going? Okay. So I appreciate that because you're here for celebration, right? This is a very momentous occasion that you have worked and sweated and cried and phone called and text and to finally get to where you are right now. So it is a moment of celebration. And while I am supposed to be here to inspire and motivate, I want to do something that you're probably much more accustomed to. As Alyssa said, we both used to teach at Arundel High School, so I'm going to channel my inner public school teacher for a moment and ask you some questions. Are you ready? Yes. Are you sure? Yes. Okay. What do these things have in common? The Wizard of Oz, any of the Star Wars episodes, Star Trek, Handmaid's Tale. We'll go there. What do they have in common? And The Exorcist, have to throw that in there. What do they have in common? Movies. Say it again. Another dimension. Keep going, keep going. It's tied into what Alyssa said that you all, or most of you, created, crafted, and shared. Journeys and stories. We don't realize how deeply ingrained stories are in our lives. We watch them, television, streaming, cinema, Broadway. We watch them, reality television show, we watch them, but we live them. We don't often realize that we are living stories. If I were to ask you, tell me the story of Malcolm X. Tell me the story of Reverend Dr. Pauli Murray. You sharing me some aspect of their biography is a story. What do you plan on doing this weekend? That's a story. And we don't realize that the stories we tell, the stories we share, the stories that we are surrounded in, around by, impact us. They change us. If I were to ask you, who's one of your favorite actors, actresses, performers? What is one of your favorite movies that changed your life in some way, that inspired you in some way, that made you laugh, made you cry, made you mad? Most of us have something. And yet, once again, we don't realize that the stories that others tell about us impact us as well. When Emerson said, this is Reverend Dr. Ray remix, to be yourself in a world where everyone is trying to make you something else is truly a great accomplishment. When other people are trying to tell you what it means to be you, and because of how culture and society is, oftentimes we take those things on. But here you are at this moment called graduation. And I want to tweak the word graduation for a minute and separate and say grad. The way that you got here was through a gradual process. That every moment of your life, long before you even could say the word Hopkins, decision, choice, opportunity, choice, made choice, decision, and it led you here. But it doesn't stop here. Wax on, wax off. How many people in here are familiar with some version of martial art, whether it's karate, kung fu, doesn't matter what it is, familiar with the concept of a white belt, black belt, etc. Most people think that you start at a white belt and you do your stuff and you work your way through the colors and then you get, black belt. And we think we're done because black belt is the goal. But in the traditional martial arts, you get to the black belt and the instructor, the master, will say, this is where it really just begins. And you work And you practice and you train until the black belt fades and becomes gray, and fades and becomes white again. The concept being, how are we invited to always be beginners? To always be in that space that Alyssa spoke about. Who am I now? Who do I choose to be now? So the version of me when I was 5, 15, 25, 55, that version of me, if I could tell him something, what would I tell him? Well, he's right here. What are you telling yourself every day? However you are affirming your day is a story that you're telling. Now, I know that most of you in this room are nowhere near the age that I am, 58, and it's okay. But many of you may recall there was a television show, speaking of stories, way back when called Hee Haw. Have you ever heard of it? Raise your hand if you have. I'm just really curious to see the 3 people who are familiar. Okay. In this television show, there was a country singer who would sing this song. Gloom, despair, and agony on me. Deep, dark depression, excessive misery. If it weren't for bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. Gloom, despair, and agony on me. I'm 58 now. I haven't watched that show since I was 7. But I remember that song. I don't remember any other songs, but I remember that song. I remember only one character from the show by name, Minnie Pearl. I don't remember anybody else. Talk about the impact of the stories we tell, the affirmations we declare. So as we're moving from gradual, grad, you, keep in mind how powerful you are. Do we recognize and understand the sheer volume of legislation, bills, etc., that are being passed to quiet, to deny the LGBTQIA2+ community? Why? See, oftentimes people reference homophobia, transphobia, etc. I don't use those words anymore because my experience is the vast majority of those individuals, they're not afraid. It's homomisia. It's transmisia. It's hatred. Why would someone hate someone they don't know? Because they recognize how powerful you are. And when pseudo-power recognizes true power, it does whatever it can to quiet it. So your invitation, remember who you are, who you are choosing to be. You get to reinvent yourself regardless of what someone else, I don't care if it's mom, dad, 3rd grade teacher, I don't care if it's reverend doctor, somebody or other, or pastor this, or it doesn't matter who it is. What matters most is who you choose to be. Do you recognize when you look in the mirror how beautiful you are? Or do you go into complain mode about that gray hair that just, because there was an era where when I was younger, I didn't have hair growing out of my ears. Once you reach a certain age, it happens. Who would have thunk? But to look at ourselves in the mirror and criticize and complain ourselves for how we look, what we weigh, etc., 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 is harming not just our psychology, it's harming the very cells of our bodies. So the invitation, remember how powerful you are. Remember, we talk about the ancestors. Remember those who fought so we could be here. Those who took bricks and bats and billy clubs at Stonewall so we could be here. Those who shed the loved ones' ashes at the White House in protest during ACT UP. All those who knocked doors not just open, but knocked them down so that we would have greater equity and inclusivity. But the work doesn't stop there. Because as Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. spoke about, the moral arc bends towards, but it doesn't bend toward justice by itself. It bends when you say, I am powerful. When you acknowledge and recognize that you are beautiful. When you recognize and acknowledge that you are intelligent. When you recognize and acknowledge your greatness. No matter what is going on. I don't care if the phone bill can't get paid and it's getting ready to be turned off. That does not impact how great, beautiful, and glorious you are as a being. Just looking at what you have accomplished to be here, think about the number of people who dream about where you are right now. Think about the number of people in your lineage, in your family, or just in history in general who dreamed about, if only I could, if only I had the opportunities. And now you have. What are you doing with? Because the more you acknowledge, the more you can recognize your own greatness, the more you are able to then take that greatness and share it. So that there are no more glass ceilings for anyone. There is no more gender bias for anyone. There is no more racism, sexism, etc. for anyone. Because it's how we show up and how we tell the stories. Familiar with The Wizard of Oz? Raise your hand if you don't mind. Okay. Familiar with The Wiz? Familiar with Wicked? If I were to ask you, of those three, which do you prefer? Which do you prefer? And why is it that one? They all, in essence, are telling a similar story. But the manner in which the story is told is very different, through a very different lens, through a very different filter. The story that you get to tell about your life, your accomplishments, your greatness, your beauty, your joy, all of that need not be filtered through their story, where whoever they are say, you are the wicked witch, and you should be melted, and you should let a house fall apart. You get to rewrite, reframe, recast your story. Recognizing, like Glenda told Dorothy at the very end, you had the power all along. Every time you doubted yourself, you had the power all along. Even as you doubt yourself tonight. So I'm graduating, and I have absolutely no idea what I'm getting ready to do next. I have no idea. I mean, I know what I want to do, but can I do? What's next? Even when you sit in the middle of doubt and the mystery, it doesn't change who you are. Think once again about the number of people. Orville and Wilbur did not know until they flew that they were going to fly. Think about the number of times they jumped off a roof and somebody said, there go them popcorn boys. Oh, that's a different Orville? Okay. There they go again, jumping off of stuff. Them silly children. And now, here we are at a time when there is this huge metal tube with wings that leaves and defies gravity long enough to get from point A to point B. and we're not flying the plane. And we're not seeing the person who's flying the plane. We don't get to watch them. Are you sure that's the right knob? I mean, are you positive? I mean, we sit back and eat our popcorn and our peanuts and whatever it is, and we trust. We trust the machine, we trust them, we trust the pilots, we trust all of these things. But when it comes to our lives right here and right now, do we trust ourselves? Do we trust ourselves to get from point A to point B to C, to then do it all over again? Because once again, graduation isn't the end. No, none of us wake up one morning and say, it's my birthday. I get to stop breathing now. I don't have to breathe or brush my teeth or do deodorant or anything ever again. Yes, I finally made it. It's a process that is ongoing, bathing and eating and eliminating. It's an ongoing process. So is what you are doing as your life, your education, your living. And when I say living, I don't just mean waking up and brushing your teeth and going to work and coming home and kissing the cat and then the next day and then the next day and oh God, it's Monday again. And that's not living, that's existing. There's a whole television show series called The Walking Dead that's about that. I'm talking about living out loud, living your bliss, living in such a way that when you wake up in the morning, you are ready to do cartwheels and splits and dance and sing because you're like, yes, I get to do it all over again. You can laugh at me, I don't care. This is part of who I, right? Like, how do you embrace your inner silliness, your inner joy, just to step out there and live? Especially when there are so many who want to steal and deny and suppress your joy. How dare you have pride? How dare you opt and co-opt and steal the rainbow from, what? Just the idea that, because I had this conversation one time with my oldest brother who is a very devout, fundamental Christian to the degree where he believes that drinking Starbucks will make you gay. So we had a discussion one time. And somewhere in the discussion, he, reminded me that hurricanes and tornadoes and global warming is my fault because I'm gay. It's the gays who did it. So time out. Let me let you into a little secret. Let me share something with you. If we were actually that powerful, trust and believe, there would be no more of this or this or this. If we had the power of Storm from the X-Men, trust and believe. And yet, we are powerful enough to change culture, to change society. But once again, it starts with you. Graduation. I'm changing that a little bit. So one, ation, realization, and action, putting a C in there. Because if we're not willing to live, then it's just a mental exercise. We're just going through the motions of. We're sitting in our dorm room or we're sitting in our apartment and we're saying, I'm supposed to write that paper tomorrow. It's 30 pages. It's due tomorrow. No, I didn't start it yet. Ooh, it's going to be an all-nighter. Until we put it into action, we're spinning our wheels. So don't just say you're great. Don't just say you're beautiful. Don't just say you are intelligent. Show it. Show up and show out. There's an HBO reality TV show, We're Here. Familiar with it? No? Okay, well, two people. So basically, for those who do not know, season 1, 2, 3, and now 4, several different drag queens go to very conservative places in the United States of America where they take on someone, dragify them, and then bring them into the community and have a huge drag performance. And the one common theme through every single episode, just like Queer Eye for the, you familiar with? Okay, thank you. Get rid of this. Alyssa, they don't, okay. Every single episode is about what? Transformation. Somebody comes in with whatever it is that, woo, and then by the end of the show, they're glamorous, inside and out. Their home, for Queer Eye, their home is transformed. So not just is their mind, not just is their heart, not just is their psyche, but inside and out. Physically, inside and out, their home, inside and out, their eating habits, inside and out, their relationships. How are you choosing to live out loud? Because anytime, note, disclaimer, there are times for our own safety that we turn it down, dim the light just a smidge, and yet never blow it out. Make sure that it is there. And when it is time, like the Fenix, set that on fire. Shine, burn, live fully and out loud. So before I leave, I want to invite you. Look at your relationships where you are not given, quote unquote, permission to be you. Family, friends, wherever that is. Look at those spaces where you are not given permission. And I want you to think about this in a very different way. There's this particular skin color that I am, whatever we want to call it. Does anyone need to give me permission to be this shade of brown? No. It's what I am. As a black gay man who is a minister who X, Y, and Z, who gunshot victim, survivor, abuse survivor, and more and more and more, no one need give me permission to heal. No one need give me permission to evolve, to grow, to shift, to transform. And no one need give you permission either. Who you choose to be is who you choose to be. And how you choose to live that is how you choose to live that. So as you move from this space called graduation, move into a space of reclaiming your story. Being mindful that each new day you get a blank page to say, today, writing it in past tense, today was a beautiful day. Today was an amazing day. Today was a powerful day. Today was an earth-shaking day because I lived out loud, because I showed up and showed out, because I listened to a friend who was in need, because I showed up at my place of employment and transformed the culture that's there, because I shined with every color of the rainbow and lit up every chakra that I have in such a way that my presence never even needed to open my mouth. Just my presence changed the atmosphere in a room. That's why it was an amazing day. That's why it was a beautiful day. That's why it was a joyous day. And I know that for some, it's very scary to even conceptualize stepping out in that way. And part of that's because of our story. But it's how you choose to live out loud, how you choose to shine. There's a person, S. Kelly Harrell, who says, "We do not heal in isolation. We heal in community." This is your community. Some of these people you may never see again, but they're still your community. Lean on each other. Call on each other. When you feel whatever that is, that the weight of the world, call somebody. And if nobody picks up the phone, text me. The only way we're going to change culture and society is by changing culture and society. The only way the United States of America is going to graduate into being a place where racism, sexism, homomisia, transmisia no longer exist is by the steps that we take, by how we see ourselves, and how we choose to show up. You had the power all along. Namaste.
Could we all close our eyes for 1 second? And then just take a deep breath in. Release. Keep them closed as you ponder over what you just heard. Take another deep breath in. Slowly out. You may open your eyes. Thank you very much for participating and for sharing those words. So, looking forward. As a Black, queer, spiritual, curly-headed man with an increased commitment to family as an uncle, a son, a brother, and a partner, I know a little bit about thriving through adversity and triumph. And this too is my hope for you all of the folks in attendance, with a focus on our wonderful graduates. Bear Rustin said, "To be afraid is to behave as if the truth were not true." I'm Clifton Shambry. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I'm proud to be an out queer Black man as a professional here at Hopkins, serving as Associate Director of Life Design for Diversity and Inclusion, in which particularly my identities as a Black person and queer person have not always been salient in my life journey, yet through consistent self-love, therapy, and exploration, I now can be the confident and proud out queer Black professional. Today, through the stories you hear and have heard and will read and talk about, I hope you will sense the trails that are blazed for us and by us to all be here today. Not only to celebrate the excellence that is LGBTQ+, yet also provide a little light to the path forward in being our best selves. So you spent maybe a year for some, but maybe 4 years for others, or maybe a few more years for others, really taking on opportunities after opportunities and many trails or paths. Most likely you've had opportunity to really dig deep into your intellectual curiosities, or take a path of dissonance, which helped you deepen some values or establish some coherence with your hopes, or work through dark times or late nights. I remember those like they were yesterday, which is why I'm not back in school yet. Pray for me, y'all. But those late nights help to see the success on the other side. Now, as we look forward, I urge you to continue thinking about your journey and use today as a stepping stone in whatever your path or paths might take you. But I want to remember that you're not alone in this process and in this journey and in this path. You also have to remember the strengths that you bring to the table into your journey that are inside of you and from your experiences that you have had and will continue to have. The writer James Davis Brown, who wrote The Souls of Queer Folk, shares how the strengths that we have could include verve, which he defines as enthusiasm or vigor. I like that word, so I'm going to have to continue to use that somewhere. But also resilience, perceptiveness, interconnectedness, non-binary thinking, and creativity. He also helped me to think about how we should remember that we are leaders in this space, and I wanted to remind you, where might that show up, right? So your skills to promote sustainable growth and to go through systems and make sure that you can get what you need, but also fostering equity and connection, and demonstrating human-centered leadership. I want you to look to someone next to you. Everybody get into somebody's eyes. Somebody's eyes. Or if you got a trio, that's okay. You can move your eyes back and forth. And on the screen, you can look at me. And I want you to say, remember, we are better together. And with your experience, verve, and commitment, more folks can and will thrive. Thank you. And so now I want you to continue to go and live your best life. Live it to fulfillment, centering your own curiosities, using dissonance for growth for yourself, your loved ones, and your Blue Jay family. So now I want to turn it over to two of our wonderful alum who are highly engaged members of the Alumni Council with a focus on the university's Alumni Pride Committee, who will help you continue to think about one way or ways you can take action in being part of a community that is welcoming you with open arms, hearts, and activity. They didn't pay me to say that, but they want your activity as our incoming alum. So let's welcome Phong Tran and Robert Hitz.
Okay. Yeah. All right. All right. That's it. I need more than this. Okay. Oh, good evening, everyone. My name is Phong Tran, and I'm Arts and Sciences class of 04 and also Engineering 21. And I'm a member of the Alumni Council and as a representative for the JHU Pride Group. And it's so exciting to see everyone here thinking back as my undergrad years here when I was director of the Saga and planning awareness days and also reposting the flyers that got defaced or torn down. Never could imagine that there would be this celebration that has grown every single year. When I was part of the first celebration 10 years ago, there were only about 15 people, and now there's over 100 that had signed up. So this is amazing to see. And to go with the theme of, what would I say to my younger self is that you are not alone. That C+ in Orgo does not matter at all. And that the connections are what really matters, the communities that you surround yourself with, and that's communities plural, that you're a part of and that you create and you cultivate, that is what really matters. And to look around this room here and know that you are not alone. And so I hope, and me and Robert, I was expecting him, he left me alone. But so I hope that you will stay connected with the alumni community. And for me personally, it has been an amazing journey that I've had being engaged with the alumni community when I moved back to Baltimore over 10 years ago. And I felt alone because I knew no one. And I went to the website and looked at an event, attended, and I have been engaged since then with that community, and the mentors and friendships that I've gained through that has helped me become my authentic self. And I transitioned 7 years ago at the same time that I joined the council, Alumni Council. So it has definitely been transformative for me, and I hope that you will get the same and actually even more value than I have, because the community grows every year.
I tell you, it has been just amazing to hear these great stories, and really calls to action. And I will say thank you to an old friend who I did not know who was going to be here. It was Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson. So it's pretty amazing to hear. My name is Robert Hitz, and I'm a 1982 graduate of Peabody Conservatory. Yes, indeed. 4 ice ages ago and counting. And so much of what I was going to say is actually very much what Fong and Raymont and Clifton have already said about how vast the change has been since, certainly since when I was a student, when it was still illegal in this state for me to be who I was with my partner. I could have been arrested. That's how things have changed. The Peabody community has been a really remarkable one and has definitely been more inclusive over the years. But I really value so much what Hopkins has done, what society in general has transformed, but also for what Hopkins has done to really help to empower us to be who we are, to be proud, to show up. And I really look forward to what you take with you going forward, to the communities you create, to the work you do. And I am going to say, you can stay involved. I have, with the Alumni Association, with the Pride Group. So contact us. It's also on our websites, the One Hop. And I'm just awfully pleased to be with you and so inspired by so many talented young people here. So congratulations to you all, and shall we continue?
Hello, hello, beautiful people. My name is Demery Woolway. I am a staff member in the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, and I get to start us off with celebrating our wonderful Lavender graduates today. Just before we begin, I have to say how wonderful it is to be in a space full of queer and queer-adjacent people. There is nothing like finding your people, being in a huge room full of your people, and so I'm very honored to be in this space with you all today. So, I am a logistics person, so here's how we're gonna do this. So each of the graduates has a magical card that has a color and a number. So we are using baseball metaphors for some reason, and so what you will see is when you are up, your group will come forward, so if the red group can start to line up over there, and when you are called forward, Dr. Frick will be reading folks' names and calling people forward. I will be happy to hand you a cord and place it around your neck. We'll have some awkward moments and it'll be great. And then we'll also have, if you would like, a photograph from Will as we're doing the cords. First person, I'm sorry, it's gonna be most awkward for you. Everybody else, it'll be seamless. So again, watch for when your card is up. I'm not gonna make a whole joke. We are just delighted to have you all here tonight. And with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Frick to introduce folks.
All right. Naomi Abe. M. Ambrosius. Yangshi An. Rico Bigart. Kendra Brewer. And Kiana Bronder. All right, and we can get the next group up. TJ Callahan. Santiago Cardinale. Leisha Casimiro. Reza Cheatham. Jelaine Clark. Francesca Cavarini. Ren DeBrose. Leegi Driftwood. Ahmed Elberdini. All right, we've got an extra one from the red group, Sadia Bangura. And the next group after yellow will be green, so they can start assembling. Elizabeth Epperly. Annalise Faustino. Alicia Hancock. Michaela, also known as Mickey, Huertas.
Next.
Michaela Feldy. Josh Hernandez. Autumn Johnson. All right, is everybody from the green group up here? Mika Judge. Abby Kohler. Yujie Lang. Julia Lopez. Ernan Mahoney. Emily McNair. Fred Miglow. Philip Mitrovich. McKee Monroe. Rebecca Monday. Olakunle Olagunro. Emily Pereira. Isabel Placas. And Annie Radin. Stefania Rincon Godinez. Sarah Roston. Shomari Sankara. Padmashri Saravanan. Sydney Scheidelmeyer. Maria Scotto Diocchio. Mariah Snelson and Nicole Knaber. Andrew Salinto. Alexander Solis. And Harley Tran. And just to make sure anyone who hasn't been called yet can come up at the very end, but we've got our last group here. Rafael Stamillo. D. Velasquez. Faith Washington. Hardy Williams. Maya Jang. All right. Congratulations, everyone.
Good evening, class of 2024, and congratulations. I'm so proud of every one of us for making it to this point. Whether you're preparing to enter the workforce after graduating from your undergraduate program, or are a young professional who returned to school to further your education at the graduate level, I hope today provides an opportunity for you to acknowledge everything it took for you to achieve this milestone. Having had the privilege to work and study alongside my fellow students at Hopkins for the past 3 years, I know we can have the tendency to sometimes not give ourselves enough credit in our pursuit to abide by our very high standards. However, let's try our best to set aside that part of ourselves just for a moment, just long enough to sit back and appreciate where we are today. I would like to refer back to the activity you were all offered to engage in, where we wrote letters to ourselves in order to examine our Hopkins journeys. As I was writing mine, I noticed it helping me to reflect on all of the ways I had not only changed, but grown during my time here. In all areas of my life, whether it be personal, professional, social, I'm a different person now than I was when I first became a student here. It also helped me realize that some of the ways I grew did not align with my original plan whatsoever, nor did the timeline of my growth abide by my original expectations. That realization was, at first, kind of jarring for me. It made me wonder why I was unable to spend my time here in the way that I'd initially hoped for and anticipated. Had something gone wrong? Should I instead view my journey over the past 3 years with skepticism and trepidation, instead of the contentedness and pride I had been feeling? That anxiety then gave way to relief. Relief that even though I had not followed the step-by-step guidelines of the plan I had set for myself, I nevertheless ended up in a place in my life filled with support, joy, and importantly, curiosity about what was yet to come. I mention this realization to you all in the hopes that you might experience a similar kind of relief in the event that your journey at Hopkins didn't go as planned either. Perhaps you didn't even have a plan to begin with. Although I did try to draft my aforementioned plan in a desperate attempt to create some sort of structure and stability for myself, I knew that I was driven to do so because some part of me knew that I only had so much control over the course of my life. Try as I might to create a path for my future, I was aware that any plan I came up with might be thrown out the window just due to the unpredictable nature of life. The letter writing activity helped me contemplate this realization that I had slowly been coming to terms with over the past couple of years. As I look back on my life, I know that past versions of myself would have never predicted where I am today, about to graduate with my master's degree in mental health counseling from a notable university in a state I had never been to before. My 10-year-old self, who was immobilized by shyness and social anxiety, would have never guessed that I would one day have chosen of my own free will a career path that required me to talk to people for a living. My 16-year-old closeted self, who agonized over the decision of how, or even if, I would be able to come out, would be shocked to discover that she's now an out queer woman who has had the privilege to love without secrecy and with the support of her loved ones, even if there were bumps along the way. My 20-year-old self, who when asked for her professional goals, would reply that she didn't know what she wanted to do with her psychology degree, but she knew she did not want to do counseling, would do a double take to learn that we had uncharacteristically had a last-minute change of heart the summer before senior year. I think she would be surprised but amazed that we decided to enter a field we previously thought we would be incompetent in, and discovered that not only does she find the work unbelievably fulfilling, seriously, don't even get me started talking about mental health care unless you want to be trapped against your will in an hours-long impromptu TED Talk, but we're actually also half decent at it. Not to mention that I nearly didn't even end up going to Hopkins in the first place. It was only after finding out the day before my undergrad graduation that I got off the wait list for my program that I even considered moving to Baltimore as a possibility. I mention all of this to illustrate how unpredictable life is, and that even though its volatility can be frightening sometimes, it can also be a source of so much unanticipated positive change. Uncertainty is a quality that's marked many of our academic lives over the past several years, whether it be due to the pandemic, the growing political attacks against the LGBTQ+ community, especially the transgender community, global and local unrest caused by humanitarian crises abroad, or any other number of factors that can shake us in our pursuit of an education. Graduations can also have the tendency to exacerbate that uncertainty as we enter yet another transitionary period in our lives. So, if nothing else, I wanted to leave you with this message. Welcome the uncertainty instead of running from it. Sure, uncertainty can contain some unpleasant surprises sometimes, but it can also contain unlimited, tantalizing possibilities. Whether uncertainty is plaguing you right now or somewhere down the road, try to remember that word, possibility, because even if you don't know what's coming next, maybe the now is not something your younger self would have even thought was even possible. And if that's the case, I'm sure your current self will be even more amazed at the possibilities your future self will accomplish. So go forth, embrace uncertainty, and give your current self some love for this amazing achievement. Once again, congratulations, my fellow class of 2024 graduates. I have a feeling we're going to do great things.
All right, I won't talk long. I just want to say a couple things. At the in the back, before you leave, actually a couple things are going to happen. We're going to do a group photo for anybody who's interested in being in the group photo with the graduating students first. And then before you leave, Do not leave before seeing, actually Lorraine is our lovely Vanna White back there. There's a whole shelf full of graduation gifts that tie beautifully into this theme. One of the gifts in your bag is, if you notice this larger poster right here, it's actually a collage poem, or a collage letter of excerpts of the letters that were submitted. So these are all your words, directly, kind of put together, and really, this is actually your legacy. So class of 2024, make sure that you take a look at the legacy, and there's a copy also in your gift bags as well. Okay, so we're gonna do a photo up here for anybody who's interested. Otherwise, enjoy, also scan the feedback survey, and thank you so much, congratulations.